right, Oliver, welcome back to the Oliver series. This is episode 15, and we are cruising right on up to orbit. What I've done is I've built a little convertible two-seat, using the same seats as you put on the rover, sort of rocket lunar lander that's going to land and pick up our two Kerbals that had the accident in the crater, and we're going to bring them back up to the space station. So moving out to the moon here, I'm going quite quickly just because we've already done it like 80 times, so there's no point in watching it an 81st time in slow motion. Well, yeah, you see that I had to make two approaches there. I thought they were in a different crater, so I had to save the game and then restart from that point, so I didn't burn up too much fuel. Then we ran into a little bit of a cracking issue with that Kerbal was walking about a meter above the ground, so fixed that by just switching the other Kerbal. Now the takeoff here, I'm gonna take off a very horizontal approach and fly just over the lunar surface and get a lot of speed going. You can see that when I cut off the thruster here in a second, we're going to be on a collision course with the moon, so I'm going to face radially out and do a burn to raise our apoapsis. Mostly I just wanted to fly close to the lunar surface. So you can look at the map here and see what that did. It raised us up nicely. And so now we're going to burn in a prograde direction and raise our apoapsis so it kind of meets where the lunar station's orbital altitude is. And then I think on the way out there we're going to burn upwards to align our inclinations at 0 degrees, so they're basically on the same orbital plane. And so we're behind the space station, its orbit, which was intentional. So there we go, I fixed the inclination. And so that's intentional, so that now when I burn in a prograde direction to raise our perigee, up and off of the lunar surface so we don't crash, you can see those magenta markers are coming together. So what I did here is I turned down the throttle setting of the engine so I could burn real gently and get those lined up as close as possible. So that as we come around, we're traveling a shorter distance in the space station. So even though we're behind it, you'll see that we catch up in one orbital trip. And here we are coming in close proximity. We'll switch out of map mode. And we're just going to slow down. Then we're going to burn to zero out our speed relative to each other by switching to the target and then switching to retrograde. We conduct a burn. And now instead of flying that any closer, I'm just going to conduct EVAs to fly the Kerbals up to the space station, and they can get inside and get out of their spacesuits and have breakfast in zero gravity. I should say microgravity. They don't say zero gravity anymore. Apparently there's always a little bit of gravitational pull, which, I don't know, when you're looking at it from a relativistic point of view, it just doesn't matter much. Zero gravity is just fine. It's basically zero. And when you're flying in spacesuits, just real small corrections, and you want to kind of coast. You want to do less motoring and more coasting. Kind of get your upward velocity, and then you kind of get your forward velocity, and then you coast for a little bit. Now I'm just in coast phase. When I get close, I'm going to start canceling out all this velocity relative to the space station. And just come in a nice slow approach here. Grab the ladder, use the F key. It'll tell you when you get close enough. And board the spacecraft. Now I'm going to switch back to that convertible lunar lander, and just to get it out of, I don't want to dock it with the space station because I didn't put a docking port on it, so I just want to crash it into the moon so it's not flying around and in danger of hitting the space station. So I do it rather dramatically. I bring myself to a stop because we have so much fuel left over. I way overbuilt this thing. I could probably even go back and land it on Earth. And then once I start falling towards the moon a little bit, I'm going to face the moon and burn again, so that we impact the moon with quite a velocity. You can see that we're going quite quick. Almost the full orbital speed or velocity that you need to orbit planet Kerbin, which the equivalent is about 17,500 miles an hour. And we will crash. So that's it. Wrapping it up for the Oliver series, and I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope it helped you get up to speed for our Kerbal 2 shenanigans. And we'll see you there. Later, buddy.